Peace to you and blessings on this Thursday after Ash Wednesday. As I reflected on it, I thought it actually might be appropriate to add a part two to give the reading that is being referenced for the day because it's quite fascinating and it's one that the fathers point to for the mystery of the Most Holy Trinity. And since it's Lent and we're trying to draw closer to the mysteries of our faith, it seems fitting to recite this. So this is chapter 18 from the book of Genesis. The Lord appeared to Abram by the oak of Mamre as he sat in the entrance of his tent while the day was growing hot. Looking up, he saw 3 men standing near him. When he saw them, he ran from the entrance of the tent to greet them, and bowing to the ground, he said, "Sir, if it please you, do not go on past your servant. Let some water be brought, that you may bathe your feet, and then rest under the tree. Now that you have come to your servant, let me bring you a little food, that you may refresh yourselves, and afterward you may go on your way." "Very well," they replied. "Do as you have said." Abraham hurried into the tent and to Sarah and said, "Quick, 3 measures of bran flour. Knead it and make bread." He ran to the herd, picked out a tender, choice calf, and gave it to a servant, who quickly prepared it. Then he got some curds and milk, as well as the calf that had been prepared, and set these before them, waiting on them under the tree while they ate. "Where is your wife Sarah?" they asked him. "There in the tent," he replied. One of them said, "I will return to you about this time next year, and Sarah will then have a son." Sarah was listening at the entrance of the tent, just behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old, advanced in years, and Sarah had stopped having her menstrual periods. So Sarah laughed to herself and said, "Now that I am worn out and my husband is old, am I still to have sexual pleasure?" But the Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh and say, 'Will I really bear a child, old as I am?' Is anything too marvelous for the Lord to do? At the appointed time, about this time next year, I will return to you, and Sarah will have a son." Sarah lied, saying, "I did not laugh," because she was afraid. But he said, "Yes, you did." With Abraham walking with them to see them on their way, the men set out from there and looked down toward Sodom. The Lord considered, "Shall I hide from Abraham what I am about to do, now that he is to become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth are to find blessing in him? Indeed, I have singled him out that he might direct his children and his household in the future to keep the way of the Lord by doing what is right and just, so that the Lord may put into effect for Abraham the promises he made about him." So the Lord said, "The outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is so great, and their sin so grave, that I must go down to see whether or not their actions are as bad as the cry against them that comes to me. I mean to find out." As the men turned and walked on toward Sodom, Abraham remained standing before the Lord. Then Abraham drew near and said, "Will you really sweep away the righteous with the wicked? Suppose there were 50 righteous people in the city. Would you really sweep away and not spare the place for the sake of the 50 righteous people within it? Far be it from you to do such a thing, to kill the righteous with the wicked, so that the righteous and the wicked are treated alike. Far be it from you. Should not the judge of all the world do what is just? The Lord replied, If I find 50 righteous people in the city of Sodom, I will spare the whole place for their sake. Abraham spoke up again. See how I am presuming to speak to my Lord, though I am only dust and ashes. What if there are 5 less than 50 righteous people? Will you destroy the whole city because of those 5? I will not destroy it, he answered, if I find 45 there. But Abraham persisted, saying, What if only 40 are found there? He replied, I will refrain from doing it for the sake of the 40. Then he said, Do not let my Lord be angry if I go on. What if only 30 are found there? He replied, I will refrain from doing it if I can find 30 there. Abraham went on, Since I have thus presumed to speak to my Lord, what if there are no more than 20? I will not destroy it, he answered, for the sake of the 20. But he persisted, Please, do not let my Lord be angry if I speak up this last time. What if 10 are found there? For the sake of the 10, he replied, I will not destroy it. The Lord departed as soon as he had finished speaking with Abram, and Abraham returned home. Very interesting, very excellent. A beautiful reading for Lent. The father of our faith calls himself dust and ash. Dust and ash. And in the context, he's pleading for other people, interceding for other people. This is what we are called to do this Lenten season. It's not just about us and letting go of sin and building a virtue. It's about going outward. And sometimes it doesn't look like feeding the poor, clothing the naked, visiting the imprisoned. It's about going out within our hearts towards other people. And also, what immediately is in your face is this idea that the mercy of the Lord is so great that even if a whole nation were committed to sin, if there be one person, and we know this because if you read St. Faustina's diary, the Blessed Sister from Poland, he tells her the only reason your nation has not been annihilated off the face of the earth is because you live here and you love me. Now, St. Faustina died in 1938, and within a year, Hitler flattened Poland with the Blitzkrieg. So, take seriously the call to conversion. Take seriously this Lenten opportunity to grow in faith, hope, and love, to cut away at our excesses, to deny ourselves licit pleasures, so that when he looks upon the earth, he sees us, souls, shining with himself, his own love in us, cultivated, stewarded well, so that he might look favorably on our nation and avert the judgments that, by all accounts and observations, it deserves. We are called to stand in the gap. We are called to intercede for the unworthy. We are called to become the living sacrifice, crying out, Father, forgive them, they don't understand. Now, there's no doubt that Abraham was being a little bit selfish here because he really had his relation, Lot, and his family in mind. But nevertheless, it's interesting, the Lord, it says, debates whether or not to tell Abraham, and he says he ends up deciding that he will, because of the position that he's given Abraham as the father of the nations. And so we see here an image of the Father's heart. What the biblical narrative here is doing is, even in the Old Testament, revealing the Father's heart, that the Father's heart is that no one be burned, no one be sent to hell, no one have to go through the torment or judgment or wrath, but that all be saved. And that even if only a few were being obedient, for the sake of those few, he would spare. That is the love of the Father. That is what the discipline of the Father looks like. And so it's a challenge to us as human beings, as men. How are we disciplining our sons? How are we raising our daughters? Is it with this type of mercy and justice in our hearts? Or is it according to our own conception, or a result of the wounds we have from our own parents, or from our own passions, which are very dangerous? Please don't beat your sons in anger. If you've been beaten by your father or screamed at, yelled at, pray for him. Stand in the gap for him. Bless his name, that it might go well with you. I hope this message finds you well and in good health, of a sober mind, and in spiritual equilibrium. And I look forward to seeing those viewer counts tick up, God willing, as Lent progresses. Please feel free to share this around. God bless you. God love you. God's peace to you. Pray for me.